Welcome to my channel, and today we will have a look at my books by Leila Duly and at my current progress. I made my acquaintance with books by Leila Duly from Flower Year. It was many years ago when we still had book depository, when I discovered that it's possible to get foreign books, so it was beautiful times. And of course, when I saw a flip through of Flower Year, I fall in love with the look of the book and with the artist style. I really love how they printed this Flower Year. Small size, very pleasant paper and amazing art. You can see from the look of the cover it's quite weathered, that I spent a lot of time with it. Unfortunately, when I colored it, I had limited amount of pencils, I had a limited level of skills, but still I spent a lot of lovely hours doing pictures here, even if when I look at these pictures now, some of them I still love, especially I love those names of months. Some of them definitely lack some shading or contrast. On many pictures I experimented with various art supplies. For example, this one was done with Derwent ink pens, and I definitely exaggerated with a white gel pen. On some of them I did normal shading, so they look more three-dimensional. The biggest problem I had with backgrounds, I mostly used soft pastel, and another problem I had is to do normal realistic greenery. Yes, even now I am pleased to look at all those old pictures, but sometimes I look at this art and I start to think that, oh, maybe now I would do it much better. I remember that I did this page when I just received set of Prismacolor pencils. I fall in love, but I still realized that some of the green colors, for example here Primula leaves, not all of Prismacolor pencils are suitable for realistic greenery. Then gradually I started to purchase individual green colors from Polychromos. I couldn't afford the full set, so I started from green colors to check if I really love them before I purchased more colors. And yes, Polychromoses are still my favorites on this paper. You can see that what I'm talking about is that my leaves, they are not as three-dimensional and as realistic as flowers, so I had better skills at flowers. Yes, I realized it, but I didn't know what to do, and only later when I watched some videos how artists do their shading on the leaves, both with watercolor or with pencils, I started to improve a little bit my pictures. Oh, I remember how proud I was when I did this one. I still think that it's one of my best works. So later I discovered that this paper works quite well with watercolor and with water-soluble pencils. That was one of the first attempts to do with something with watercolor, even without pencils, I think. This poor bird. I think that I definitely could do something better. You know, I thought that maybe I can change some of these pictures, but then I decided that I will maintain my promise, maintain my own rule, that I am not changing my old works. Even if now I can see what are problems, what they are lacking for better look, I'm not changing them. So it's kind of steps of my journey. It was another work where I was extremely proud. I still think that everything looks quite well. Prismacolor pencils. I don't remember. Yes, probably leaves also Prismacolor, but mostly I was proud of the flowers. They definitely look three-dimensional. I especially love the blue flowers here. So I enjoyed coloring this in this book. and I do love that we have a mix of smaller and bigger pictures. In this book it was even quite easy to color two sides pictures. It was easy to get to the central part, but we here mostly have wildflowers, so we have a little bit of blue, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of pink, and a lot of greenery. You can see that sometimes green leaves, they after doing the green part I totally ran out of patience. So I started to think that maybe it would be nice to have a book by the same artist but with bigger variety of plants, flowers, something more exotic, and that's where I discovered her next books. But let's finish this one. The color palette, it repeats from one page to another. The only difference was autumn and winter pictures, where I used a lot of Inktense, especially for fall season. Here I tried to turn it into a botanical atlas page. I think this was quite clever idea. That's also I did with watercolors, and I was extremely happy how they behaved here. I experimented with this different kind of pictures where you do fantasy or dark background, but I decided that maybe it wasn't the best idea. Yes, these pastel color flowers, they look better against the dark background, but it's not matching the rest of these pictures, so it was my one and only experiment. Oh, that's my poppies. I really love them. I struggled for a long time how to do poppies, so when I finally started to do three-dimensional petals where you can see all the folds and normal shading beneath all the petals, they still look delicate with very thin petals, but you can see movement of the petals from the wind, those delicate curve of petals. Yes, I also was quite proud when I finished this one. Fall season was quite fun to color because I love berries. This one was very dear to my heart because this picture, it represents Kiev during the fall season, because we have a lot of horse chestnut tree. I think that it's correct name. So we have a lot of them. They are beautiful during spring when they are in bloom, but they're also fun during the end of summer, in the autumn, when they have those chestnuts. And we have a lot of rowan, so it's definitely, for me, represents fall season in Ukraine, in Kiev. A lovely fuchsia. Here I first probably used my trick to divide leaves into color groups. I used yellow, green and blue-green colors, and it looks really nice for such complicated compositions for the wreath. And since that picture I used the trick many times. I was happy to find those berries, those fruits. Oh, this one I totally ruined it with watercolor. My watercolor skills of coloring realistic leaves, it's even worse comparing to my skills with pencils. I think that with pencils now I improved. With watercolor, totally no. This one I did with Inktense mostly. This one also with Inktense. But this one is one of my favorites. A lot of berries and very interesting color palette. I even used graphitins for this one. Graphitins and soft pastel. It's interesting to see how from year to year my skills improved comparing this bird to the first one which I did here. To this one. It's interesting to see back how I started my coloring journey, how I worked on elements. So I have a lot of pleasant memories about this one, but now I am more interested in her later books. So after Flower Year, I purchased Floridunda. For many years I promised myself that I will start Floridunda only when I finish Flower Year. Then I realized that maybe it means never. So I allowed myself to start Floridunda, and I discovered that my favorite pencils, polychromos pencils in Flower Year, they were not the best choice on this paper. Paper is totally different, it's more like cardstock, and surprisingly Prismacolors, especially on flowers, gave much more vibrant colors. So here I mostly use polychromos for green leaves and Prismacolors for flowers. In such way, it's easier to get more realistic natural colors on the leaves and shading and vibrant flowers, what I love to do. But I still did only 3 pictures here. It was a time when Floridunda was out of print, so when I published some videos from this one, I got a lot of comments like, oh, it's pity that it's not possible to get it. Now I think that when she published her latest books, she also reprinted Floridunda, maybe not completely, maybe it's kind of mix of best pictures from Floridunda and Flower Year. So majority of pictures now are available back, because I think that she's definitely the best for me for botanical coloring books. So I am glad that she returned to creation of coloring books, and now we can find all her best pictures, her best art to color and to enjoy. So here I remember that maybe we did some color along. We had to color either poppies or poppies probably. So I found this one and I decided to experiment a little bit with color palette, and I think that all 3 of them looks nice, but my favorite is the yellow one, all done with Prismacolors. This one for me has defined spirit of August, maybe because we have here the dahlia, but we also have a peony here, so it's some summer vibe. I think that peony here is my favorite element, despite that my favorite flower is dahlia. But I think that I messed it up a little bit with maybe it's jelly roll, maybe it's Posca. When I applied it, probably it looked better, but I discovered that with time those white lines, they can look more contrast or something chemically changed, and it could react with pencil pigment. So now I try to be more careful with such highlights. But peony really looks quite interesting. I definitely need to return to this one. I look at all these beautiful compositions. Now I feel less intimidated. When I just got it, it was much more popular and many people colored it. People with amazing skills with botanical illustrations, so I was intimidated. Now I feel that I can return to it, not being afraid to ruin it. So definitely I need to put it somewhere near my working area. And the final one, I love wreaths. I love to stitch designs with wreaths. I love to color wreaths. Sometimes it's boring, yes, I can agree. But in Leila Duly books, usually they have such a nice variety of different flowers, leaves, berries. So I really love her pictures with wreaths. And now to relatively new books. First, I got Beautiful Planet. I was very happy to find pictures with exotic plants, exotic flowers, a lot of cacti, succulent plants, but it was laying on my shelf. And the first page here I actually did in May. Shame on me, but now I think that after this good start I will be coloring in it much more frequently. I am really interested in all those tropical exotic flowers. The only downside is that in the end we don't have names of plants, which she usually did in other books. Instead we have names of the poets, which she included here. It's lovely, but I prefer the name of plants, but that's okay. So now I did only one spread. Yes, again it's more suitable for the end of summer, for August, but I decided to do it in May. Both compositions had those lovely dahlias and other variety of flowers, and I wanted to play with some vibrant colors, so I decided to do these pictures. Mostly I used Prismacolors, but in several areas I added polychromoses, and yeah, I think that it created a very good mix, because some of polychromos pencils, I love their yellow colors more comparing to yellows in Prismacolors. I love their green colors more, but for vibrant central elements like those dahlias, Prismacolors work better. My favorite pictures here, it's like this one. I really want to do this passion fruit composition, very lovely. I'm glad that she included a lot of underwater sea creatures here, and I also don't mind to color insects. The only downside is that we have several huge spreads like this one, and maybe because the book is relatively new, but it's not very easy with such binding to get into the central part. And imagine you color such a huge composition, such huge wreath, and you have elements where you simply can't reach. They are not very easy to color at all because we have a lot of small size elements, but okay, I can do it maybe with fine liners, maybe with polychromos pencils, but how to reach to the center I don't know. So now I mostly select one side pictures. They also are so detailed that I spend a lot of time even for one page. So double spreads for me yet not on my list. Walk in the Woods for now probably is my favorite book among the four. Sorry guys, of course, 4 of the books which I own. And let's have a look at what I've done. Totally out of season, I did this one again because I wanted to experiment with different compositions. I wanted to do it in the late winter or early spring season. I didn't have time, so I finished it only now. But I think that it's okay that if you color out of season. This one I started to do with Inktense, and I decided that yes, I want to continue using Derwent Inktense in this book. First, it really helps to color quicker. We have many pictures with leaves. It's not my favorite thing to repeatedly use the same pencils, and you run out of green colors very quickly. I constantly need to purchase more and more green colors, and Inktense they really help to resolve this problem. I do basic layer, then with regular pencils I can add color accents. You can see that on some of the leaves I added a little bit of yellow brown colors, more shading between leaves, but it takes lesser amount of time when you do only additional shading. And then flowers I did with regular pencils. So it's a very helpful technique, especially for big pictures. But sometimes I love to work with pencils only. I'm absolutely proud of this work. I think that it was one of my best. I love everything here, from the delicate background, which I did with pencils, but it still looks quite delicate, like a morning haze. I was inspired by such colors, and it's a mix of polychromos and Prismacolors. A lovely dress. I am very proud of this one. Another one where I used ink tents together with regular pencils, because I don't know how much time I would spend on all the greenery without help of ink tents pencils. With ink tents it's fun, maybe colors are a little bit more vibrant, but if you work a little bit on top with regular pencils, you can resolve such problem, and to make your pictures more realistic, it also helps my ink tents not to sit idly in their pencil case, and finally they are back to work. On the smaller pictures I tried several pencil brands which are the best here. I even used cheaper pencils like Arteza. Paper is really good, so I don't think that we need to limit ourselves with any pencils. Even Color Arteza, more budget pencils, Arctics, they work quite well on this paper. Next I have this one, where I practiced how to shade delicately white flowers. I decided that in this book I will try to be more careful with outlining with Posca. Better to have black lines rather than this white Posca, which after several years would look much more contrast and could ruin the whole page. I do love that all the line art in Leila Duly book, it's very delicate, nice thin line, which I don't mind to have. I don't feel the need to cover it. I wish that all artists would use such a nice, elegant line art style. Another one where, I don't know, I had some masochistic day, and I decided to color all this greenery with only a few flowers here. It was a good practice how to do several green color combos, but I definitely prefer pictures where I have more flowers and a lesser amount of leaves. And I really enjoy winter part of this book. Another two compositions which I really love. My favorite is this one. I even decided to add several more fantasy color leaves, like those bluish or even grayish leaves. I think that they added nice touch to the whole dress, and several vibrant berries. I think that it looks quite festive and in the same time with this winter vibe. And another one where I combined ink tents for the fall leaves and polychromos pencils for the pine tree branches, for the cones and for the needles. Yes, I think that it's all. For me to color in Leila Duly books, it's very relaxing first, because finally in the end here we have the name of plants. So if you don't want to think yourself about colors, you can always use reference pictures. So I love to use reference pictures where you only need to compare picture with your set of pencils, and it's a good practice for me how to improve look of the leaves, how to make flower compositions more three-dimensional. Sometimes I success, sometimes I'm not very happy with my pictures, but the good thing is that with two new books I don't mind to ruin one or two pages, because we have a lot of similar pictures, so you can start a new one and to improve it. Good variety of pictures here, a lot of new additions like insects like birds, even animals. And again, I'm very glad that we have pictures of different sizes, starting from smaller projects which you can color quickly to those two-side spreads where you can spend probably a month to finish them. I definitely intend to use them almost each month, and I hope that in December I will do a new video and I will show you my progress. Thanks for watching, and until the next videos.